Okay. Hello, everyone. This is Gina, and pronounce your last name.
Latreille?
Yeah. It's Latreille?
Latreille.
Latreille.
It's French.
Okay, Latreille. Okay. All right. I would make sure. I always ask people because I have a story, or seriously, I met a woman whose last name was spelled Urine. And no, I know. Of course, I looked at it and said, "Oh, hello." And of course, I said urine. And she goes, "No, it's urine." So I swear, this was 25 years ago. And ever since then, I'm like, no, don't say a person's last name ever again. So that's why I ask. Oh, me and my phobias, I guess. This is Gina Latreille. I did it get right?
Yeah.
Okay. And she has been, we were trying to do a video with video type of a recording here, and it was a complete, total disaster. She hung on so patiently for the last hour while I'm there going, "Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?" No. And so anyway, so we're back to the old method here, at least till I can get this other system set up. So how are you, Gina?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Well, we were going to talk, we don't even know what we're going to talk about, so this is going to be a very interesting interview. You want to interview me?
I made some, I did some little, oh my gosh, cards with words on them.
The cue cards.
Give ideas.
I know. Well, we have a third option. That's my cat's over there, and we could interview him. No. Well, no, this won't be hard to do. We'll get into just a way we would normally talk here. But
what about the diagnosis process?
Sure, absolutely. Now, you haven't gone through that yet. That's what you're waiting for, right?
Yeah, but I've done so many steps to be able to go through that it's amazing.
Yeah. And
go ahead.
I was going to say the steps. You're in Canada. I'm in the U.S. And and I know that there's a big difference there. I guess there's a huge difference. Well, I maybe not. I don't know either system well enough, but UK, the people in the UK, it seems like it takes forever to get in, and it's like a really, really long process, but very thorough. I saw somebody did a video, and they had, it looked like a 100-page, maybe a couple 100-page report that was specifically what, it was test after test after test, and then they did a summary, and these are your strengths, these are your weaknesses, this is what will help you, this is, and it was like, wow. I got basically a one-sheet piece of paper that said, yep, you're on the spectrum. It's like, which is cool. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining. It was a lot easier process, a lot cheaper process, but talk about a differences in process.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about getting the actual diagnosis, but to get there, I had to go through the CLSC lady. I don't know if you know what CLSC is, where you are. I don't know if it's called the same.
No, it isn't.
Do you know what that is?
Your social services, or I'm just guessing.
Yeah, well, social services lady that takes care of my son. She referred me to a psychiatrist. Then she sent a paper to them. They sent a paper to me. Then I had to send it to my doctor, and then after that, they sent another paper to me that said that he had to talk to them on the phone. And then after that, I went to the autism center close by, and first I called them, and then they told me, oh my gosh, to call this phone number and to describe everything. And anyways, so I did that, and then after that, they called me back, and they said to have a special educator to help me. It was like a 1-year waiting list. And then I told the center that, and then they said, well, that's way too long. So they wrote a letter so that I could give to my doctor, and now I have to write a list. Like I have to do the quiz over again, and like photocopy it and send it to my doctor.
Wow. So
that's a lot of.
Yeah.
Compared to the ADHD test, that you answer a bunch of questions, and if you score high enough, you have ADHD. It's a big difference.
Yeah. Now, is it I can there's there's a lot more people that they're probably running through the ADHD system than the ASD system. Or do you call it ASD there, or do you call it what is it still Asperger's that they will be diagnosing you, or is it?
It's still an ASD, but in French, because where I am, everything's French.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. That's another thing. You're fluent in French too. That's we talked about that too. And there's that's I don't know. I'm just fascinated with other languages too. That's another whole story. I think the system here is set up. It's how am I put it? They've got everything so automated. Like basically, I said something to my doctor. He said, "Okay." The doctor's office that's going to do the exam, the diagnosis will call you, and they'll tell you when, they'll set the appointment up with you. So that's all I did. He said, okay, I'll find, I will, they go through their own system too. So basically it's all on computer. He goes through a list, hits the button, and it sends a message to that doctor, and they schedule to call me, and then we set it up, and it was that simple. Within the month, I think I went and I was able to go see the person for the diagnosis.
Wow, that's fast.
Yeah.
But did you have to pay, or?
Yes, actually, I've got health insurance here, and it covered it, which I was surprised. Okay. Now, I did not. I don't know if you know this. I was talking with Sarah this morning with the interview, and the process I went through, and I think I'm not sure. I'd like to clarify this, but I'm almost retirement age, and they probably looked at me and said, it may have been a dollar and cents thing for them. They may have said, well, I don't want to say that. No, they would have. The person that did the diagnosis said, okay, you have an option now. I think that you are, she said, mild Asperger's, and that will be my diagnosis. If you want to, you can go through the testing, but I don't see that changing my diagnosis. So that's optional to you. And she said, and anytime if you want to do it, you can. So I said, okay, I'll think about it. Well, I didn't think about it. I mean, that was probably been a $1,500, $2,000 diagnosis. And I don't know how much of that would have been covered. So that would have definitely been more money out of my pocket. So she, in a way, saved me money. Now, why she went that way, she was either really up on her game and said, look, there's the only information they could take was from my perspective, because the only other person that would have known me was my sister. And they could have done a phone interview with her, but quite frankly, she never... I mean, if somebody asked, does your brother self-stim? She would have said, huh? What?
What's that?
Any of the questions they would have asked her, she probably would have had no clue. So that, and maybe they took all of this into account and said, well, really, we just have to go with what Tom tells us and determine whether or not he's a credible witness or whatever, or, source of information. And we'll make our determination from there, and which is really about all they could do. Now, with you, do you know who they're going to? Are they going to go with other people in your family, work, or other people that might know you, are they going to ask them questions too?
Well, it's optional for me, but I want to bring somebody with me because in case I freeze up, I'll have somebody that's with me to help me out.
Good. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Because when I go see my doctor, I freeze up. I can't express myself properly. I just lose my way.
Yeah. Yeah. I can. I know when I get under stress, that's when my traits come out. And
yeah.
I had a situation once where I possibly had, it would have been a really, really, really bad cancer in my sphenoid sinuses between my eyes. And so they found a growth there, and I went to the doctor, and he said, he said, I know he meant well when he said this. He says, there's in all likelihood this isn't cancer. Well, that's like in a way saying in all likelihood this is, So and after, because I had myself all ready what I was going to say, but after he said that, I just kind of went, oh, and I couldn't think, I couldn't talk, I could talk, but I couldn't ask anything related to it. I was out of it. My sister was there, and she kind of helped, but I hardly remember even talking to the doctor. I guess you could say I was sort of in shock, But I don't know if, anyway, off on my tangents there. I got to stop that. I talk too much. I'm gonna have something I can.
We talk about like stimming or something like that.
Yeah, you mean?
I'm talking to you, and I just realized I was like pinching my leg.
And you were just what?
I was pinching my leg.
Oh.
And then all of a sudden I realized it. I was like, oh, I'm pinching my leg.
Yeah. I saw something interesting today. This is, you have a Costco's up in Canada? At least there were in Saskatchewan. I don't know if you have them. You have them there too?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know they were that far-reaching, but I was there today, and after I was shopping, I noticed a young man with his mom there, and he was rocking, and I could see him stimming, and I could see him also being very self-conscious, and even I kind of detected his mom, like, okay, are people, and I so wanted to go over to him and just talk with him, and it may have been the most awkward moment. It may have been the best moment in his life, but I ended up not doing it. And I just kind of I've been thinking about that since I did that. It's like, if we were all just free to be who we are, I don't know. It was a interesting moment today for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's true. It's true. Like I realize, like for stimming, like some stims I'll like do in public, but others like that I have like more control over, or that are I realize that I don't do them, or I go like hide in the bathroom and I'll be like hand clapping, or like in the bathroom and a little scream of joy there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Or overexcitement there.
Sure. Yeah, I tend to. I'm finding that I rocking tends to be something that sort of comes out of me very easily. And people don't see it here on the camera, but my fingers are constantly busy back here. And so I do. My feet are constantly doing something, or my feet, my hands, my mouth, and rocking are my main stems. Do you know Agony Audie there in the UK that does her YouTube channel?
She's awesome.
Yeah, see, Sarah, I know. That's what I hear. She is awesome, and she is. She was talking. She had a new video out about stems, and she was talking about certain things that I didn't know were stems that I do. And I need to go back through that. This is what I think is so, this is got to be, I mean, it's got to be very unusual for somebody who's not on the spectrum to see us talking about finding things about ourselves like we do. At least for me, I know all my life, it's like, yeah, I used to tap my fingers. I used to, and I remember in school, I used to do a lot of leg stems. I used to bounce my leg. I used to tap my foot. I used to wiggle my toes, and, you know, and that all stopped. I think that was kind of shunned, I think, in school. And that's where I learned to stop that. But I had all stuff that was going all through my life. And it's just interesting, you know, now that people probably look at us and go, you didn't know that was a stem? Or, you know, I'm just fascinated that people can have the traits that they do and not know they're on the spectrum all their life.
I know. Well, I always took it that I was just like a very active person, and, you know,
yeah.
I had lots of energy, and it was like coming out all over, that's all.
Yeah, yeah. Now, when you were in school, since you didn't know, did people treat you differently? Or, I mean, I think we all were treated maybe differently, so maybe that's not even a good question, but what was it like in school?
Well, yeah. At school, oh my gosh. Well, elementary, the first day I got on the bus, they laughed at me because I had a big ball of puffy, curly hair.
Uh-huh.
So that didn't start off well. And like I said the last time, I remember like asking in grade 1 why nobody wanted to be my friend. It was the way I acted and everything. So like I knew I was different. I always knew I was different, and I'd always like hang with the other people that were different because they were the nice ones.
Yeah.
And then oh my gosh, I remember in high school it was horrible. Oh my goodness gracious. They'd tell names, and I remember I would walk down the hallway, and I'd put my head down, and I'd touch the wall all the way down. I was so intimidated by everybody and everything, you know. Wow. It was crazy, you know, and I remember getting hit by a math book on the head. Oh my gosh. See, it was not fun.
See, that type of thing, when I was in school, when I was way back, you know, this is after lighting and electricity, so it was not that long ago, but you know, I mean, the things that people did that they were punished for in class was like chewing gum, smoking, and I think some people, pot was like something that was becoming a problem then. I mean, because you would, you know, I mean, it was so that to hit somebody would have been almost unthinkable. Now, I'm not saying it didn't happen in schools, but in our school, you know, I mean, it's the little stuff was, you know, they call your parents. They send you home. They, you know, I mean, I'm not chewing gum per se, but, you know, but I can remember, I was, these are the memories that are coming back. And I'm realizing now so much. I'm realizing how weird I was. It's actually hard for me to go back through some of my memories because in all honesty, I had covered them up as, okay, that was normal, that was normal, that was normal. And I stopped really looking at myself and looking at other people's behaviors, and I just kind of was oblivious to it all. That's how I coped. And since nobody was bothering me, and maybe it's because I was male, I think I was actually kind of a stocky, for my age, kind of a male, so probably people didn't want to mess with me, you know what I mean? And if I had been the little, you know, 90 or the 80 pound or 60 pound kid that, you know, was tripping over his own feet all the time, then they probably would have picked on me. I did have people pick on me. I do remember that, but it was not, it was just 1 or 2 times, you know, it wasn't an ongoing thing. But yeah, I mean, I was an oddball. I do realize that.
And did you like hang out with the other oddballs? Like, did you like have like okay, that's another oddball, I'll hang out with that person because they're safe?
Do you know what? And honestly, I think I was with the oddballs that the oddballs rejected. I'm serious. I mean, I didn't fit into any groups. I had two friends in high school. One was all during high school, and he was an oddball, of course, and he didn't fit anywhere either. As a matter of fact, I've kind of looking back on him, I wonder if he wasn't on the spectrum. But the other people I kind of hung out with in school was I was always fascinated in media and cameras and stuff. And back then it was 16 millimeter projectors, and there was an editing room we had, and I volunteered to work in the editing room. So there's me and a couple of the guys that used to do editing, and we were, and we were, I mean, we didn't hang out other places. We weren't friends in the sense of hanging out outside of school, but those are the other two kids that I remember spending any time with. Yeah, so I mean, I was isolated. Now, I was isolated because we lived sort of out in the country. Well, I got to take that back. Depending on when in my school times, we moved around a lot too, so that changed the whole dynamics of my whole making friends and keeping friends too. And so I thought it was kind of normal that friends were this sort of a passive thing that were just like they came in and out of your life, and you had no control over it, and so you just kind of whatever. I was extremely, extremely passive about everything that happened. Yeah.
Well, I used to hang out in the library with a friend, and we used to try to read our minds. It was funny.
And you meet on...
Pardon?
You said you'd meet online?
No, in the library.
Oh.
I'd always hang out in the library.
Right.
And now I realize, well, it's quiet, and the mean kids never go there. Right. It's a safe place.
Definitely.
Although I look at pictures more than read the words.
Yeah, I was like that. I think it was the dyslexia. I think we talked about that. I was into Mad Magazine. What else? Mad Magazine, yeah. That was my big go-to. Oh, Peanuts. The cartoons, Peanuts was the other thing.
I remember we take a book and we, like, okay, I see an image. Now you have to tell me what image I'm seeing. So we, like, try to read our minds just for fun there.
That's cool. I know. Isn't that funny? I remember growing up wondering, really, I wonder if this is neurotypical if they do this too, but just wondering about things like being able to read minds and move objects, and because you'd see stuff on TV or whatever, and you just wonder, is that true or is not true, or can people really do that? And so you try, and I don't know if that's just a phase every kid goes through, or if that has something to do with the neurodiversity too.
I have no idea.
Me neither.
Maybe it depends on what level. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell.
Well, you...
I remember...
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I remember the kids... I was a real pain in the butt, though, when I was in elementary school. And I remember once a kid, he took me, and he slammed by my shirt, and he slammed me on the bus window, my head.
Ew.
Another kid, when I was younger, my mom told me, I don't remember that, he pushed me down the stairs and I tumbled all the way down the stairs, and I had some sort of fit there, I don't know. And, oh man, I remember there was this guy, he had a knife, and I was so, like, oblivious to danger. I was, like, laughing at him, and then he got mad, and he was, like, pointing his knife at me, and then I'd hide under the bus bench, and I was like, oh, you can't get me.
Wow, yeah.
I was hyper.
I heard another story, actually it was somebody who was an adult that was going overseas, and I mean, these were like the guards at, oh, what was it, in Cuba or something, you know, with machine guns, and they were, the one person was like very serious and everybody was like quiet. It's like, these guys mean business. And she was just laughing, and like, she thought it was funny, you know, and they were just getting more and more angry, and her kids were with her, and they're like, Mom, you know, stop it, you know, and so, but, you know, so it was that executive function thing there going on, and it's hard for, I mean, we are a strange lot, but it's funny because it's normal to us.
Oh my gosh. My kid sometimes tells me, sometimes I feel like I'm the parent here.
And your son's on the spectrum too, you said? Is that right?
I have no idea.
Oh.
He's got an intellectual deficiency.
Okay.
And he's always video gaming. I think he's like addictive.
Uh-huh.
But at the same time, he's got like nothing else to do, so it's kind of hard to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old is your son?
He's 17. He's going to be 18 soon.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, he's in like grade 2 elementary school, and his learning abilities are. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Well, do they, you know, I don't know if I had said this to you too. I think we in our conversation probably have, but they said I'd never graduate from high school, was my prognosis, you know. And that never really hit me until recently about what that really meant, because once I was diagnosed, it just kind of, didn't have much meaning in my life, because you know, I don't know. Can only guess why, but I think maybe my parents' expectations were like, okay, I guess we're going to be lucky if he even gets out of high school. So they weren't really pushing me academically. I wish they had. I actually I don't know if it was junior high. It was in our chemistry class. I was the top of the class, and I never got any feedback. I would have hoped one of my parents would have said, "Hey, you've got a talent here. You know, you've got, you know, something that you're good at."
Yeah.
And because I had no clue, I don't know if it was an immaturity. I don't know if it was the autism. I don't know what it was, but I mean, in a lot of ways, I still don't. This is what puzzles me still today, is that that part of me then and the way I felt then, those feelings are all coming back. It's like I'm starting to feel that. I don't know what to even call it. I'm starting to be honest with the way I feel, and I realize my limitations are coming out. And that's kind of disturbing. I mean, you know, they say ignorance is bliss. Well, I guess I've been in bliss, and that bliss time is over, and that's okay. I would rather be honest with myself and say, yep, I shouldn't be doing this, or, you know, I'll probably find out I shouldn't be doing these videotapes here in another few weeks, which, okay, you know, I guess that's where you learn. But, yeah, this is that part of the process that, I call it the painful part, is really coming to grips with who you are and who you really are, which means your limitations. And I'm starting to, like, you know, when I really don't understand something, I'm starting to say, okay, I'm not going to fake this anymore. And I was on, I'm sorry, I feel like I'm hogging the show here. I'm talking about so much, but I was on Messenger. I think, it was a messenger, and it was a group messenger, and everybody would type in something. Of course, I had the dyslexia too, so I'd be trying to follow this line, and there was so much concentration trying to follow what was going on that I'd forget what was just said a few lines ago, or or it'd take me a while to respond, and and it was just the wrong format for me trying to understand a conversation, and I ended up saying, wait, I don't know what everyone just said. I don't even know what the topic is right now. And that took a lot of, I guess, whatever, honesty with myself to be able, I'm not going to fake it. I don't know what's going on, guys.
It's so tough.
I'm becoming disabled. I was, but I was lying to myself. That's part of the masking.
Oh my! I don't know. I know it. Like what you're saying there is like it's like touching me like deep inside of myself. There.
Yeah.
It's crazy because like ever since like I can't do like mechanics. Well, I finished my school, but I was like so much slower than everybody, and it was like a real nightmare. It was really hard, but it was really fun. But it was really, really, really hard. And now I'm in this program, this work that's especially for people who have difficulties, and I'm with a bunch of neurodiverse people that I'm working with, and I'm happy to be able to work with them because I feel more comfortable. I don't feel as much the pressure, but at the same time, it's hard because I have to wear like these earplugs and I really makes me really shy, but it gets better with time. But
yeah.
But I'm wondering, like, after this, what's next? Well, I mean, just how far are my limitations? Like, I mean, when you go to school, you do stuff, and like the teachers are like so nice to you and they're so helpful to you. But then when you get to do work, go in the workforce, the expectations are so much higher. Well, I mean, like, where do I fit in? How bad am I really? I mean, I know like I did a sales course too, and I know like I'd be like writing. I mean, and then I'd write. And then after that, I realized that I wrote a sentence twice or a word twice.
Yeah.
Or I'd write and I'd write words. I'd write letters that weren't supposed to be there and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh my gosh! I mean, like in school you have time to do all these things, but what happens when you go to work? I mean, where is my place? I mean, there's people that help me and everything, but. I'm like somebody that loves to know where I'm going, but I absolutely have to accept that I have no idea where I'm going. It's impossible to be happy.
Yeah. You just took me on a journey through a lot of memories with all you were just talking about, and it made me see how that part of what I learned to cope with, well, how am I put this? My disabilities, my intellectual disabilities, the degree at which I've been faking it, my ability to put on, to fit in. I mean, that's what I'm skilled at. Is I think being able to fake it. And because this is what I was thinking was that I've always at some level struggled at work. And I think the way that I dealt with the struggles, if I look at my work history, was that when the responsibility and the demands got too much, I would go to a different job. I didn't do that. I didn't do that really consciously. I mean, I guess I did at some level. This is what's so strange that I'm finding out is that there was like literally, I almost feel like I was schizophrenic, because there was a part of me that at some level knew that I was protecting myself by either overemphasizing my abilities or learning how to project competence when I was not. I'm kind of going through that now at work. I'm doing maintenance at apartments. I don't know if you knew that. And this sounds so crazy. This is actually one of the things that brought me to realizing that I was neurodiverse, was not only the communication breakdown that I had with the supervisor I've got, or she's the apartment manager, but what they want me to do. And I'm actually in this right now. I'm going through this dread right now. I'm going through this pressure right now. And that is, how would I put this? This is a low-income housing project for elderly. And basically there's limited funds coming in, and and the government will pay, like, for the first, after it's vacated, they'll pay like 1 week of mortgage, or not mortgage, but apartment. What do you call that when you pay your rent? But
rent.
Okay, rent.
No.
That just kind of hit me funny. What do you call it when you pay your rent? Rent. That's it. I knew I could find that word. Thank you. So anyway, but anyway, no, I'm not going to lose. Okay, think, Tom. Think. The story is this: that I'm in this situation where I have this pressure. I mean, this is my neurodiverse mind, and this is how I work. When someone says you need to paint the walls and you need to fix this place up, there's a level. There's like the right way and the wrong way, or there's do it or don't do it. If you're going to do it, there's a way to do it. If you're not going to do that, then what are you doing? So that she's saying, like, well, we've got to have this place ready in a week. It's like 10 men couldn't get this place ready in a week. What are you asking me to do? So it might take me 2.5 weeks of busting my butt. And I mean, when people leave these apartments, there's grease every place there could be grease near the kitchens, and the bathrooms I don't even want to talk about. That's probably not even age appropriate to talk about the way those bathrooms look when I get on them. And I mean, and it's just, and there's people that have been there for 8 years that are heavy smokers. And I mean, you can imagine what these places look like. The carpet needs to be replaced. The flooring needs to be replaced. Everything needs to be painted. Everything needs to be scrubbed. It's like, well, you've got 5 days to do it, plus all the other stuff you're supposed to be doing that comes up in regular maintenance. And it's like, this is impossible. And it puts me in a situation to where the pressure, and then I start falling apart, because it's like, okay, because this is where you get into your routines. It's like, okay, well, this is how you do this apartment right. You start here and you do these things, and then you do the next stage and the next stage and the next stage. And then they say, well, but you can't do all those stages. It's like, well, how do you jump from A to X and not do everything in between? And I want to retire. I wanted to retire at the age of 21, actually. But this is that. This is a pressure, and these are the pressures I've been dealing with all my life, and I have found ways to get around them. I mean, this is what finding all this is bringing out of me. This is the difficult part of it. I think I probably talked the last 40 minutes here. That's just what it feels like. Sorry.
You're explaining stuff that you're going through. That's okay.
You're so kind. You're a good soul.
Aww.
You are. You're a very kind person.
Thank you. You're nice too.
Thank you. What you went through, and what you're going through now. I wish I had some magic words of wisdom or something, but I don't know. Unfortunately,
nobody knows.
Well, not, but I mean, the ideal is in society is that everybody will find a place for everybody, to work or to do what they can to, and that's great.
But my great grandmother used to say, her words of wisdom, as long as you got a roof over your head to keep the wolves away from your door and out of the cold, and you got food in your tummy, well then you're okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. There's a lot of truth in that. I know that, I tell you, the other pressure that's been on me is that I've been alone. So that I have, I always have felt like, okay, you don't get any, well, I won't say you don't get any second chances, but you better have plan A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, because if A fails, there's no one to bail you out. There's nothing, So that's always been a pressure on me too. And it's made for a difficult life. It has. But
I've been used to being poor, so at least I'm used to it.
Yeah. Well.
So.
Yeah, and times have changed as far as the economy here in this country. And it may, I think it's the change in the economy. It could be the change in my age. And what skills that I have to sell. These are some of the things I'm very poor at, of understanding these things. And this is the kind of things that I'm starting to realize now. If I was 20, 30 years younger, I would consider going back to school, and I'd understand why I had to. I don't know. It's all very confusing. It's all very confusing.
It's exhausting.
Yes, it is. It is.
I find life is so exhausting. I find why do people work 5 days? I mean, we should work 4 days and have 3 days holiday. 2 days is not enough to recuperate.
You mean? I'm sorry. I repeat that.
I find that we should have 4 days of work and 3 days of weekend.
Yeah.
Because 2 days, it often it feels just like you're surviving,
Yeah. I know. Yeah,
I'm going to try to get that. I don't know how, but I'm going to try to get that because I want to live. I don't want to survive. I want to live,
Good for you. Yes. No, I hear. Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather be super poor and survive.
Yeah, I hear you.
The other way around. I'd rather be super poor and live than super rich and just survive.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you about rigidity? Did I say that right?
Say it again.
Rigidity.
Rigidity?
Being rigid. Rigidity. There you
Rigidity.
go.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, I understand where you've come from on that too, because I never saw. I mean, I look at it in two ways, and that is, if you were lucky enough to, I actually passed up opportunities. I passed up some incredible opportunities. My father was a veterinarian, my mother was an RN, and I pretty much could have gone to school anywhere I wanted to and have become anything I wanted to, and had that even paid for. But I didn't have the whatever it takes to know what I was good at, what I couldn't determine that, and I still have I still can't. No, I really still can't. It's like I don't have an image of myself. I don't have a perception of, and I don't know if it's myself or if it's a combination of things. Like what, understanding the system and working within that system. I mean, I feel like I've done the things that I need to to survive. Not that, and I don't want to say I haven't had life hasn't been enjoyable, but I don't know. See, I guess everybody goes through this in some way. I just don't know. I don't know. I was frustrated.
Well, it's difficult because you go to school for something, but at school it's easier than at work. And if you are able to do it at school, it doesn't mean you're going to be able to do it at work. So you're going to invest your time in doing that at school and not knowing how it's going to turn out after.
Right.
It's a gift.
Right.
But then again, I mean, you only have one life, so if you don't try anything, you don't get anything.
Right. Well, that's if I can say, that's one thing that that's been a good quality. That's how I'm going to say this. One of the benefits of not knowing what the heck I want to do with my life is that I've done a lot of things trying to find out what that is. I mean, I've been a pilot. I've been an interpreter. I have been an interpreter for the deaf. I have. I went through teaching, and I was kind of, long story. I never ended up going out and teaching, but I did get a degree in teaching. I've trained dogs for the blind. I have worked in computer graphics, and I've done web page design, and I've done, and it's just, and other things that I've enjoyed, but I've nothing ever. I don't know. I look at other people who actually have careers, and I don't know what's different, what I don't understand. I'm like a 5-year-old still, in that level of understanding. I really wonder if it isn't about that age too. Maybe 10-year-old, maybe a 12-year-old or something, but maybe not that high up. There's like a part of me that never developed, or I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that kind of stuff out.
I think that's part of the ADHD. Because I heard Rick Green. I don't know if you know who that is. Rick Green.
No, not at all.
He's some totally ADD, and he talks about ADHD, and he says that the master of all. How did he say it? Master of all trades? No.
Oh, jack of all trades. Yeah.
Trades, but master of none.
Right. Yep. Yep. You're looking at another master or jack of all trades. Yeah. But the sad thing is, well, I guess like the master of none is, and it's not true. I've actually mastered is kind of a strong word. Like interpreting, I became fluent. I became fluent enough to be able to interpret. I was a pilot. I got up to 200 hours. I was ready to do instrument and commercial flying. I graduated in my.
Pretty awesome stuff.
Yeah, and so that this is the disconnect. It's not like I'm not stupid, but there's just something missing. And I still feel that frustration, and the autism explains part of it, and the ADD explains part of it, but I still can't see it. I still don't feel like I can control it, and maybe that's why it's called missing, but I don't feel like it's something maybe I'll never understand. Maybe it's just something I have to accept. It's like, yep. It's like being blind. You just have to explain, I'm not going to understand what vision is. I'm not going to understand what this other deficit I've got is in my life. Although I can sense it.
It's so frustrating.
Yes.
Like, I tried an IQ test, and mine was like slightly higher than average.
Uh-huh.
But here I am working at a program instead of like having a career or something. I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Is there a place for me, or do I have to accept the simple things and just have a simple life and just concentrate on other special interests that are more simple and easier accomplished, like, I don't know, sticker collection or something.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah. You mean as hobbies as opposed to something for a career?
Yeah, that's it. Focus on hobbies and career will, you know, whatever. But I still have hope. Sometimes I'd like to, you know, I like psychology. I find that interesting. And Tony Atwood, I don't know if you know Tony Atwood.
Yes, that's what I do know.
Yeah, well, he's awesome. He says a lot of girls that are ASDs go into psychology because you're always studying, like, how people are acting and what they're doing to be able to know what to do yourself, you know?
Yeah. Well,
and you're in psychology since you're young. Also, we didn't say that part, but I say it. You're in psychology since you're young because you're all messed up and you're trying to figure out how to function. You know?
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. I think that's why I think it's a real misunderstanding when they say that we are not good at. We're what do they call it? When you're not sensitive to people's feelings, empathetic. That we have no empathy, and it's like,
no.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when a person when you can tell almost how the way the person moves, what they're feeling. You know what I mean? It's because really it's body language is everything. And, you know, and that goes to like, well, you don't make eye contact. Well, okay. But I can remember so clearly. I mean, it's almost like looking down. I remember the whole phase of trying to learn how to make eye contact with people and what was going through my head. And this game of like, okay, kind of look there and smile a little while and go, oh my God, they're looking at you. Okay, well, you can't keep staring at them because, I can see they're starting to get uncomfortable now. And so I look away. Oh, now they're going to look, now you're looking away too long. They're going to say, what's wrong? So you better look at them again. Okay, okay, there you're looking at them again. Now they're wondering what you're thinking because you're looking at them funny. And, and you go through this whole process. And it's like, okay, well, let's get into animals as pets and we'll forget people, you know?
Yeah, animals don't care. But it's fun. So I watched My Little Pony, and I took a hint from My Little Pony. There was a cat at the store the other day, and it didn't smell good. I love cats, but I mean, it didn't smell good. I didn't know if it had fleas, so I didn't want my cat to get fleas. So I gave it a stare, and I stared at it, and it looked like as if the cat was like insulted, and he went away.
Insulted. Oh, okay, I get it. I get it, human. I get it. All right, I'll go. Yeah, I think animals do. They pick up an amazing amount. The more I'm working with my little cat here, Timmy, I mean. He's smart. He knows how to, like, if he wants attention and I'm really focused on the computer, he starts playing with stuff that he knows I don't want him to play with. And he does it on purpose because he knows it will get my attention. I mean, he's figured these things out. He knows how to push my buttons. And it's just, but he also, when I talk, it's just like he has another sense. It's like he knows when I'm saying, like, Timmy, I'm going to be on the computer a while, and after, let me get this done, and then we'll do whatever. I'll give you your snack. I'll let you outside. We'll go play or something else. And he's like, then he'll actually walk away. It's like, and then he'll come back a little later. It's like, is it time yet? Or he'll know that when I'm done, it's like, okay, you said when you were done. And maybe I'm reading some of this into that, but the timing is perfect. It's like.
Well, that's how you get to know. I went to like this reptile zoo. It was super amazing. And there's this like, me and my memory. It looks like an alligator or a crocodile. I don't remember which one, but it's like it's a lot smaller. So it's got another name which I forgot.
I forgot him too. Yeah.
And the guy said, I figured out that when it makes a little grunt, that it means it's hungry. And anyways, just by analyzing the way the animal acts every time it went to eat or something like that, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Now this whole thing about analyzing, I mean, that's something when I mention that, you probably go, oh yeah. Is it how everything, I mean, everything's complex, everything is detailed, everything you have to understand.
Yeah, we're constantly analyzing, sometimes so much that we go into analysis, paralysis. Oh my gosh, help me. Analyze, paralyze, you know?
Yes. Analysis paralysis.
Paralysis, yeah.
Okay. It's funny. It's you're bringing up words. Oh, I'm sorry. You bring up words that spark a recall for me. And but it's funny. We make a good pair here. We can actually talk. My sister's like this too. We kind of laugh because she'll like, yeah, and I go do this, yeah, that, and it's like, yeah, okay. Then we'll go on with the conversation, and something else will come up, and that, and so we just feed off of each other. That's why I think she's on the spectrum, or whatever we're on. It's not drugs. It's not drugs. No, it's not drugs. Oh.
I didn't take it.
I know, I'm just teasing you. Oh. This is just it's great talking with you. And I love this. This is what I love talking about other people in the spectrum, because I've learned a lot about myself tonight. Some of it is disturbing. Be honest with you.
Oh.
Well, in a good way, because my goal is, before my heart stops and I assume room temperature, that I will go a long way into really knowing who I am, because that's what I've wanted probably more than anything in my life, is to, you know what I mean? Is to feel some sort of peace with who I am. And I think that's the road that I'm on. And even if that means, yep, okay, here's your list of limitations. It's like, okay, cool. That's me.
Yeah, sometimes it's got to burn it's got to hurt before it feels good.
Yeah.
I remember I went to a psychologist, and she was direct. I liked that. And I knew her well. I went for a long time, and I remember I used to be somebody who used to flee, like she was talking, and I was trying to say something, and I felt like she wasn't listening, and she was just saying what she had to say, and I knew it after. I didn't know it when she was doing this, but she was doing it on purpose, and I got so frustrated. I wanted to leave. I was so frustrated.
Yeah.
And then she stood up face to face in front of me, so I wouldn't leave. And then she said, "Tell me what you have to say. Tell me what you have to say." And she says, I'm doing this because I love you," she says. And I said, "Well, I feel like I'm talking to the beep wall,
Yeah.
And that helped me realize what I was doing.
So she did really help then.
She helped, yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's fantastic. That's what I always felt. That's the best you can get out of a counselor, is somebody that reflects you through them back to you, so you can see yourself. And see things in maybe a little different perspective, that you can start to understand yourself.
Yeah, that's why I'm so anxious to be able to see a psychologist again, because I get so much things in my mind, so many questions that I want to understand, since I've discovered ADHD and autism. Since I'm discovering all this, I've got so many questions I just like need somebody to talk to, and I'm like doing my best. I'm like a real suck up, bugging everybody so I can get help as fast as I can there, so I can like
Yeah. Is it helping you to talk with people on the spectrum?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I find it's so strange. I find like there's so many similarities. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. It's like whoa.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, it's weird. It's like I'm still frozen. I'm still like when something dramatic happens, like there's a time that you don't realize what's going on, and then all of a sudden you unfreeze and you realize, Well, I feel like a big part of me is still like frozen and is not realizing what's going on. I feel like what I'm living is surreal, It's weird.
That's an interesting way you described that very, very well. And I do that's I know where you're coming from with that. I can say that there's been that sense of a surreal feeling all my life. I think that's one way I would put how there was always something. At some level, I always knew there was something going on. And we talked about it a little bit tonight when I was saying, I think I've been faking it. I've been covering up my disabilities. I've been lying to myself, been lying to other people, or that's what masking is. That's what, and you're aware of that. I think you're painfully aware of it, and yet it's amazing that how much the mind can block out of what's really going on around you. And
yeah, I don't believe what's going on around me. It's weird.
You mean it seems that surreal, you mean?
Yeah, well, it's oh my gosh, I wish I had the exact words. I guess surreal is a word. It's like you believe it, but you don't believe it at the same time,
Yes. Yeah. I do.
It's not. It's like you're numb or something.
Again, you're hitting on. This is how I was describing when I felt like I've been out of touch with what I physically and emotionally am feeling. There's a word, I think it's called alexithymia, where you have trouble associating what feelings are like you may feel something, but you don't know it's anger. You may feel something, but you don't know it's sadness. You may feel something, but you don't know it's pain. And so that you're sort of disconnected with the cause and effect, I guess. And I've wondered when there were things that I've been covering up. I keep going back to the example of stimming because it's something I see, I feel, I have, I guess, some sort of control over, as opposed to, I have a lot of, I think it's echologia, where in your thoughts, you repeat stuff, there's music going constantly. I'm repeating, and I saw this as one of the questions on one of the ASPE quizzes of like, are there like scenes from movies or parts of movies that you replay and you look at, and they were talking about actually doing things like and using phrases and stuff that you've learned as part of the way you interact socially. Now, when I was diagnosed, I had no clue of any of this. I don't know how much of it was denial. I don't know how much of it was that I really had no clue. But all these kind of things are coming back to me. And I'm having to deal with. And I think I'm doing pretty good. I'm just sort of letting it all happen. But it's also very, it completely changes you. I mean, it's destabilizing to have to go back through this. And like you sort of said, you got to go through the pain sometimes to heal.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing. I'd be so curious to know how many people are relating to our conversation right now, at some level. I think we're going to find an amazing number of people that are. It's so sad. It's so sad. I feel for you. I feel for the other people I've met that I know that there's this a confusion and a pain in their lives that persists to the day, you know. I just wish that I don't know, sometimes...
And I feel like it's like a part of, for me, I feel like there's a part of me that doesn't want to allow pain because I have to keep on going. And like,
Yeah.
like you're feeling pain, but you don't feel like you should be feeling pain.
Because you can't afford to let you I'm gonna put this, since
You can't let pain take control.
Yeah.
Because you'll lose control.
Right on. Yep. Yes. Yeah. And so those are the kind of things you suppress. You find every way possible to you can't let yourself be that. And this is what I think tears. I mean, I hate to always. I always hate bringing the subject up, but you know, the suicide rate is so high in our community, and it doesn't take much to. I mean, this is that control. I mean, this is scary stuff. This is stuff I can remember back as a kid. You know, it's just that you are so alone. You don't have anyone to go to. Your parents that you're supposed to be able to go to, and you don't even know what to explain. You don't have words for it. And so you're left there feeling afraid, powerless, and without any tools, with not knowing what to do. And so you just are pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, trying to survive. And then you put this magic plastic face on. And you get pushed out into society, and there you go. Have a nice life.
Yeah. I remember when I was 14, I hated being at home. I hated it. I'd always go to my friends, and I'd sleep over at my friends, and I'd stay there. And once I had to go home, and I just didn't want to go home, and I just sat in a little ball next to a window outside, and I remember I felt like throwing myself in front of a car.
Wow.
But then I saw an image in my mind, but I don't know, it was weird, of a light at the end of a tunnel. And for some reason, that gave me hope, you know? But I'm a faithful person, so I believe in God, so I kept saying, okay, where's the I felt like they kept having tunnels. It's like, where is the friggin' light?
Yes, that should be a T-shirt. That should be a good T-shirt. Where's the friggin' light at the end of the tunnel? You know, it's funny you say this because, well, I've said this before, so I guess it's just sort of common knowledge now, or at least. But I had a moment in my life that I kind of had reached my cracking point, I guess, where this is after I found out that I had ulcers for 11 years, and that I came to the realization and the truth that I had been faking it, and I had been so unhappy and so stressed. And of course, what the doctors do is they say, oh, well, you've got ulcers, so we got to give you something for that to control the acid in your stomach, and you're really tense, so we're going to give you a tranquil, something to keep you calm. So they gave me this huge, I mean, it was one of those bottles that's probably about, you're in centimeters and stuff, so, but it's probably, I'd say 3-inch, it was like 250, 300 pills, okay? And I took it all. I was just like, okay, it's time to go. And while I was sitting there, contemplating what I had just done, I had that same kind of it almost was like a voice. It was something that was saying you're going to find your answer. It's sort of like your light at the end of the tunnel. There is going to be this will resolve somehow. There is an end to this. And that's what made me tell my friend, who thank God was a paramedic, and said, "Okay, we're going to the emergency room," and then that was how that story ended. But yeah, there was some sort of some voice of hope, which I still
there is hope, and we gotta hold on to that and see the beautiful things that are small, like I don't know, the smell of leaves in the fall, and small things like that. The sound of little birds chirping when they're far away.
Yeah.
Little things, but yeah, the pain is real, but I don't know.
Have you ever thought you are? I bet you would be good in poetry. Have you ever tried writing?
Oh my gosh, that is my biggest strength.
Really? Oh.
People, when I write, I've done sketches. I've even done sketches in front of everybody. I mean, I love creative writing. There is, oh my gosh, when I get the chance to be able to share that, I go nuts. I'm happy with joy.
Oh, cool. Well, if you're ever able, do you have quite a few things that you have drawn out, and do you have like enough to share?
Well, I've done a lot in French because I'm stuck in the French world.
Oh.
But I did. Oh my gosh, it was like so cool. It was like a sketch, and it was a poem about how mechanics was like Frankenstein, like the veins of the blood that goes through our veins was like the gas that goes through the motor, and all kinds of things that I put together, and I had the song Beetleman, Frankenstein that went with it there, and everything was like awesome.
You'll have to read one of your poems in French. I'd love to hear you speak.
You wouldn't understand anything, though.
I know, but I'll bet you that you have a way of reading it that's beautiful. Even in,
Well, I know what I could do. I could try to write one in English.
Yeah, that'd be.
I've written one in English. I posted on ASD World. It was about communication. How important it was. Like, I felt like I absolutely had to communicate because communication was always so difficult for me, you know?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. There's, well, that would be something that would be sort of fun to I'd like to see that personally, just to, wow, we've covered some interesting ground. I knew we would.
Yeah.
I knew we would. Once we got going.
Yeah. Hey, it's already 1:23. Wow.
Yeah. I've got since I started the audio recording, it's been 1 hour and 6 minutes.
Wow.
Which is it's cool.
You finished with the fun and tell thing?
Say again?
The story that I had said the last time. Do you want me to finish with it, or?
Oh, you mean yeah? You mean to read that now?
Well, to tell you the story about it. Remember the story I told you about the puppet?
Yes. Please do.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, there was this village where that was made of just wooden puppets. And some of the wooden puppets had stars, and some of the wooden puppets had dots. They were stickers. When the person did something good, they gave that person a star. And sometimes that person had so many stars that they would give them a star just because they had lots of stars. And then there were the people with the puppets with dots. Well, that's because they did bad things, or they were clumsy, or whatever. And so they got dots. And sometimes the puppets had so many dots that people would just give them a dot because they had so many dots. Now, there was this one puppet, his name was Punancello. He had dots, lots of dots. And people gave him dots just because he had dots. And he was fed up of his dots. But one day, he met this girl puppet, and she had no dots, and she had no stars. And he was like, wow, I wish I was like you. How come you have no dots and no stars? Well, he said, I go to the puppet maker every day. That's how come. You should try it. Okay. So he went to the puppet maker, and the puppet maker was so sad of all the dots he had. He said, oh, that wasn't nice of them to do that to you. And he said, you know, if you come to see me every day, I'll tell you how much I love you, and then it won't matter what the other people think. The stars that give you, the dots, they won't stick to you anymore, because what will matter is what I think of you. So the puppet said, well, okay, I guess you're right. Maybe you're right. Maybe I am okay the way I am. And just when he said that, one dot fell off.
Yep.
The end.
Yep. Yeah, and that's society puts a lot of dots on people.
Yeah, we did.
And stars.
We gotta not accept those dots.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what I really hope. But who am I, and what? I suppose, if we're either positive, we're neutral, or we're negative in our influence. And I guess if we can stay positive, and but what I just really do hope. I hope that things change for the neurodiverse community, because there are so many good people out there. There are so many capable people, and there are just sometimes it's something very simple in our way that keeps us from doing great things. And I just really want to. We need to start a neurodiverse city, a neurodiverse place, where we can all come together and we develop everything around our strengths, and our needs, and that's our community, and supporting each other. I know it's an ideal, dreaming kind of a thing to think of, but I think after living this life, it's interesting. If there was any lesson I was probably supposed to learn in life, and then why I went through what I did, this is probably it. I don't know. There's a deep lesson in what we've gone through as neurodiverse people. I think in some ways we've had a very, very rich life, even though it may have been a very difficult life. We have learned a tremendous amount about life. Do you agree?
Yes, I definitely agree.
Yeah, I think that's one of our greatest gifts too. Wow. I wish I want to send you this what do I call a hug? How was it, an electronic or some sort of a long distance spiritual type of a hug here I'm sending you right now. I'm sending you all these vibes or whatever. So because you are a very kind person, and you just have amazingly good qualities, and as just a human being. And it's been such a pleasure talking with you and knowing you, and I think we're going to be friends for a long time.
Right back at you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I think I'm going to call our interview here just because of the length, and people aren't going to want to put a tent beside their computer and have food brought in so they can hear us talk. So thank you all. It's been an interesting conversation here with Gina. I will get this up and get her feedback. And please, people, as you see these things, leave comments, leave trails, things that you say, let's talk more about this, let's talk more about that, or something that you're related to that, this is how we all pull together. And I think this is how we all heal and we learn about ourselves. And that's, if that's what this achieves, to spend this time with all of you. I mean, I enjoy just the process of talking with you, Gina, but we may have helped some people out there too at the same time. That would be great.
I sure hope so.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. And we're going to call this a night and I'll talk with you here soon. Gina, hang on.